A pro-Palestinian action group, supporters of Hamas, believe it or not, were preparing a march at the Sydney Opera House. It was planned for this coming Sunday. And lo and behold, the police decided to do the right thing, take him to court. And the highest court in Australia finally decided a little bit of common sense is needed. Not the same dingbat judge that ruled that the pro-Palestinians can march across Sydney Harbour Bridge to try and actually make a massive statement to the whole bloody world. Look at us. We control the bridge. This is our bridge. We're marching for humanity. We all saw those terrible photos. I mean, you had pro-terrorism flags being flown. You had a pro-terrorist that was actually there. You had so many things that I saw it as an Australian, and I was very, very saddened to see it. Now, they wanted to do this pro-Palestinian protest march, or pro-Hamas march, I should say, because of October 7th. It was the anniversary the other day. And they also had their own planned in Bankstown, I believe it was, and you had a Muslim imam, the one that said, "I'm happy. It takes courage," that guy. Well, he was speaking, and the things that they were saying was really, really vile and disgusting. And I mean, one of the women speakers, one of the Muslim women speakers, she actually went against Albanese. See, even though Albanese gave these people exactly what they wanted, recognizing a Palestinian state, rewarding Hamas, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at all. You know why it doesn't matter? Because you give these dingbats exactly what they want more. It's never going to be enough. You open up Pandora's box, you reward terror. What do you think they're going to do? They're going to say, "Thank you very much. Now I want more. Give me more." And they'll blame you if you don't actually bend over backwards for them. Now, thank God, I am thanking God for this, because basically they would have been allowed to go back to the exact same place they went to 2 years ago, and the scenes that took place the day after October 7th, with all these people marching in the streets, celebrating the deaths of Jews from October 7th, was actually so despicable. And it happened in Sydney, Australia, at the Opera House, and two years on, they wanted to go back. The New South Wales court rules in police's favour over planned Sydney Opera House pro-Palestinian march. Now, was this about more about the ideology, or was it to do with safety? Police argued that it was more to do with safety, right? So it's not about, we're going to stop you. The messaging behind this is sick, because Australia is like, we can't possibly do that, right? We saw them on October 7th in Bankstown celebrating October 7th, saying that Hamas is a resistance group. Even though Albanese said, "Don't do it," they still did it anyway, because that goes to show you how weak our Prime Minister actually is. But the highest court in New South Wales has made a prohibition order over a planned pro-Palestinian march to the Sydney Opera House on Sunday after police opposed the event on safety grounds. The Palestinian Action Group has estimated it will involve 40,000 participants, with speeches in Hyde Park before the crowd marches to the Opera House forecourt. The organisers suggested it could proceed safely if the crowd is divided into smaller processions, and those groups then disperse once they reach the forecourt. But a senior police officer on Wednesday told the court the plan had disaster written all over it, citing limited exit points from the forecourt and fears of a crowd rush. The ruling handed down by the Court of Appeal on Thursday would mean attendees would be deprived of legal immunity against certain offences, including obstructing roads, and appears to have also clarified further potential consequences. Damien Ridgewell, spokesperson for the Pro-Palestinian Action Group, said a new route had been negotiated with police from Hyde Park through George Street to Belmore Park. Obviously, the court proceedings did not go our way today, and we won't be marching to the Opera House. Well, good. I'm glad they're actually listening, because normally in these kind of situations, they're like, oh, screw it. We're going to march anyway. We're still going to march. But in this case, it appears there's a little bit of sanity, right? Let's hope that is actually the case. He said the protesters would call from New South Wales Premier Chris Minns to light up the Opera House in the colours. No. Hell no. You've got to be kidding me. It's bad enough you dingbats wanted to actually march to the Opera House, one of our famous landmarks in Australia, being part of the actual supportive, you're supporting Hamas, the known terrorist organisation. It's bad enough you want to do that, but now you want to light up the Opera House and the Palestinian flag? No. How about we light up the Opera House in the Australian flag for once? How about we do that? We don't want to raise the flag of some other country, thank you very much, in this land. No. Let's raise the Australian flag. I'm all for that. But you guys wave a different flag. You don't like this country at all. The judge about Sunday's rally said that it appears to have also confirmed another possible consequence for attending an event which is subject to a prohibition order, contempt of court. During the hearing, the organisers' lawyers argued breach of such an order would not lead to contempt of court because it would be consistent with previous court decisions about rallies. Well, yeah, anyway. I don't expect people to attend the Opera House, but if people are silly enough to and want to flout to the law or break the law, appropriate action will be taken, the Assistant Commissioner Peter McKenna said. Judge rules public safety risk is extreme. Justice Stephen Free. Well, at least you have one judge who's got a little bit of common sense. One of three judges who heard the case, so three judges heard the case, read out a summary of the decision and said the court was unanimously of the view that the order should be made. The judges considered the likely size of the crowd, the route, the capacity, the physical constraints, etc., etc. So rally numbers far too excessive. So pretty much the only reason why the Opera House rally is not going ahead is because of safety, not because of the ideology behind it. And we can't have these people supporting terrorist organizations. We can't have them marching on our streets and on our landmarks. No, it's to do with safety. We've got to protect them, right? I mean, I'm glad that's not happening to start off with, but also, like, why don't you just have some backbone and say, we don't like this ideology. It could get violent. These people are violent and they're very emotional. So, yeah, I understand the safety thing. Probably a good thing they went on those grounds, but also have some backbone and say, well, we don't like this ideology either. It contributes to us going, it's not safe. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm getting quite fed up with all of these marches. Mark Levy, we've all had a gutful, right? We've all had a gutful. This is what he had to say the other day from 2GB Sydney.
I'm sick and tired of talking about protests over an issue that has got absolutely nothing to do with us. Now, yes, it's very important to allow people to go out there and express their thoughts on a whole range of things. Do it in Hyde Park. Do it in the Domain. Don't go on the forecourt of the Sydney Opera House and march across the Sydney Harbour Bridge. We have had a gutful. If these people really want to make a difference, what needs to happen now is pressure being put on Hamas to accept this peace deal. Israel has agreed to the deal. Benjamin Netanyahu's met with Donald Trump. We're heading in the right direction. This is something we should all be enormously happy about. But what do we get from the pro-Palestine protesters? They stand there at Central Station last night. They're going to have a vigil. They're going to go and protest on the Sydney Opera House. Why? Because they're intent on attacking Israel. That's what this all boils down to. They are not interested in peace. They are not interested in the plight of the Palestinian people. They hate Israel, and that's why throughout this whole saga, I have referred to them as anti-Israel protests. That's exactly what they are. I'm sick and tired of talking about protests over an issue that has got absolutely nothing to do with us. If these people that take to the streets think they're going to make a difference in the Middle East and they're going to, save the plight of the Palestinian people, it ain't going to happen. The only change that can be made is if Hamas agrees to the peace deal that's on the table from Israel and the United States.
And, well, guess what, ladies and gentlemen? It would appear that Hamas has actually agreed to the ceasefire deal. They are yet to sign off on the 20-something page ceasefire deal document, but part of the ceasefire deal is that they would release the remaining hostages, dead or alive. Hopefully, the majority of them are alive and not dead. But I agree with Mark. I'm sick and tired, time and time again, constantly having to see these dingbats in the streets all the chance. I mean, I just saw a video in it was Sydney Airport, believe it or not. Imagine hearing Allah Akbar in Sydney Airport, man. Man, if I heard that in Sydney Airport, I'd be like, what the I'd be looking around like fearing for my life. Because usually that's the last thing that you hear. How dare these people come to our country shouting those obscene things and then also trying to take over? They're taking to our streets. Now, I understand, like Mark said, the ability to express oneself, right? We should all be allowed to express oneself. But every single weekend over an issue that we've got nothing to do with, what is Australia going to do to stop what's happening over in Gaza? Absolutely nothing. In fact, Albanese on the world stage was condemned hard. And it's not a good look for Australia, a small country. We're not a big country. We're relatively okay, but we're not compared to the US or in terms of a superpower. Australia is like way down the list, man. Yes, we come to our allies' aid if need be, but looking like an actual fool in front of Israel, who's supposed to be our ally, by supporting and acknowledging the Palestinian state, you made Australia out to be a laughing stock. And in fact, when you did the polls, it was shown that the majority of Australians don't agree with recognizing a Palestinian state. Well and truly before Hamas has given up. That's just stupid to me. But of course, we're run by dingbats. No brains, no common sense. Case in point, ladies and gentlemen, have a watch of this. So I've made several videos now over the terrorist brides that have been let in by Albanese's government. And have a watch of Karl Stevanovic grill the Labor Science Minister, Tim Aries, about the terrorist brides being let in. Watch him squirm. And I have no idea what the hell he's saying. Have a watch.
How do you feel about them coming back, personally?
Well, these people have travelled to a war zone, and it's a pretty, I think most Australians would regard that as a problem for like a behaviour that is. That's not certainly the government's advice to people has been do not travel to these areas. These people have travelled to them. They've lived there,
but then you welcome them back. I mean, I think
that's certainly not true, Carl. That's certainly not true. The government's provided.
How are they allowed back?
Yeah, well, the government's provided no assistance at all.
How do they get into the country?
To these people? Well, these people have found their own way back.
And you can't do anything about it.
Well, it's not open to, the government's made a choice here to not provide assistance. There's been, I think, voices out there saying that the government should provide assistance. We have taken the approach as a government not to provide assistance. And the job of our security agencies in relation to these people, but also other people who they make an assessment about themselves, is to make sure that we're keeping Australians safe.
Australia, we most people, they went to a war zone, they went overseas. Most Australians, we don't offer support. No, can't do that. No, they made their way back. Have you got to be freaking kidding me, man? What happened to your English? Did you suddenly forget it? This is how you know they're lying through the skin of their teeth. They can't actually articulate themselves. They've shot themselves in the foot. They know they have. Even Karl Stefanovic was just, I can imagine his face, like, what the actual hell am I hearing right now? This guy is supposed to be part of leading our country, and yet he can't even tell us the damn truth because they know they shit the bed big time with these terrorist brides. And guess what? More of them are on the way. And that they want to lecture us and tell us that we're the problem. Where the hell do these people get off? Firstly, they go, well, don't protest at the Sydney Opera House. It's not good. Yet they don't do anything when they're chanting obscene things. It's like two-tier justice going on. We are being taken over by the pro-Palestinian mob. And these people don't care because they let them all in. Here you go. Come on in. Do you think that it's deliberate? Or do you think it's part of a plan? I definitely think it's deliberate. This guy goes, well, they made their way themselves. They got no government assistance. I'd hope they wouldn't get government assistance, but you actually gave them government assistance by letting them in. Why is it so hard for some of my friends overseas that are good people to come here and get a visa and then renew their visa, but yet it's so easy to allow people from Gaza to come here with Australian passports and then also allow the known terrorist brides back in and their kids? Oh, shouldn't they have Australian passports too? What's going on? What the hell happened? Oh, by the way, this is our Home Affairs Minister, Tony Burke, the dingbat that allows people into the country, right? This is him calling everyone that opposes the Albanese government a bunch of clowns, cookers, and right-wing extremists. Have a watch of this dingbat.
And of course, while this side is focused on delivery, that side is focused on division. And the description of themselves used to be given the iconic status, as you'll remember, Mr Speaker, by Scott Morrison when he described them as a Muppet show. But they've gone one step up this week with Jacinta Nampijinpa-Price describing them as a clown show. As a clown show. From Broadchurch to circus tent. Those opposite providing the light entertainment on the hill. And we're never quite sure if the clown show is going to be Scary Clown, the Pennywise of Stephen King's It, or whether they're just going to provide Bozo. The Leader of the Opposition, forever, from the moment she's come into office, has been juggling on a tightrope without a net while below her the extreme right are engaging in a knife-throwing event. The member for Canning, there's no longer a line tamer. He's broken out of his cage, wandering along the back rows, working out who to attack. The member for New England, the human cannonball of the parliament. And inside Show Alley, those booths where the kids can pay some money and look and say, are those Nationals real? Are they real? And outsiders you get at every single circus. There's food stalls with cookers as far as the eye can see. But the ringmaster isn't in the parliament. Every night they go back, they turn on their TV sets once it's dark, and the ringmaster tells them everything to believe and tells them only talk about yourselves, focus on division, let the Albanese Labor government do the delivery.
He wants to say that we're the ones that are causing the division. Now, the thing is, Susan Ley is a very weak leader, and I think she should step aside immediately, otherwise we're going to lose the next election. It seems as if Albo is trying to fix the next election, right, with immigration and then also trying to change the structure of the parliament. So these people want to call us cookers, divisive. Now, I'm in no way a supporter of the Liberal Party at the moment. Definitely not. But I'm someone that has strong values, right? And they do not align one bit with Labor. What I've been seeing at the moment with Labor, it's scary stuff. Scary, scary stuff. Labor has been letting these people in. Labor allows the hate and the division. They're feeding it. Albanese the other day goes, we're going to tone down the rhetoric, guys. Is that toning down the rhetoric? Your Home Affairs Minister, Albo, and yet you want to sit beside and laugh. You're all a joke. You all think this is a joke. You guys stand in Parliament or sit in Parliament and act like you guys are the arbiters of truth. Meanwhile, every single hardworking Australian is suffering because of your stupid policies. Mass immigration, housing crisis, the Medicare scam, taxes up the wazoo, cost of living. Should I continue to go on? Or how about the major protests that are continuing every single bloody weekend? Doesn't stop. Anyway, that's enough from me, but you guys take care, be blessed, and I'll see you all in the next video.